Ice cream!
Well, if no one's sick in here, then the sick person must be Daddy!
What if I told you SpongeBob has an episode so disturbing, Nickelodeon banned it before most fans ever saw it? Tonight, we uncover the truth behind Bikini Bottom's darkest secret.
Ultra Mega Quarantine!
SpongeBob SquarePants is remembered as one of the most colorful, lighthearted shows of our childhoods. A sponge flipping Krabby Patties, Patrick's goofy antics, Squidward's grumpiness. It all seemed harmless fun. But behind the laughter, there's a side to SpongeBob Nickelodeon doesn't want you to know about. Hidden deep inside the network's vault are episodes so controversial that they were either banned, pulled after airing once, or never broadcast on television at all. And here's the part that shocks fans to this day. These episodes weren't simple drafts or scrapped ideas. They were fully written, animated, and produced. In other words, the creators knew exactly what they were making, and Nickelodeon made the decision to bury them. Why would a network risk burying part of one of its most profitable shows? It wasn't because of bad animation or lazy writing. These episodes struck nerves that were far too raw for children's programming. They touched on themes like humiliation, paranoia, aging, and even real-world fears that mirrored events happening outside of Bikini Bottom. And this is where the mystery deepens. Fans often wonder, were these lost stories intentional satire aimed at adults, or were they simply jokes that crossed the line? The truth lies somewhere in between, and that's what makes the so-called banned SpongeBob episodes so fascinating. But let's start with one of the most infamous examples. An episode that looked like lighthearted comedy, but spiraled into something Nickelodeon quickly regretted. When people talk about SpongeBob's banned episodes, one always rises to the top: Midlife Crustation. At first glance, it sounds like a typical SpongeBob setup. Mr. Krabs wakes up one morning, looks in the mirror, and realizes he's old. His claws ache, his reflection feels unfamiliar, and even his daughter Pearl confirms what he fears most: his youth has slipped away. Instead of accepting this reality, Krabs spirals. He becomes desperate to feel young again, clinging to the idea that adventure will restore his spark. That's when he overhears SpongeBob and Patrick planning a wild night out. To Krabs, it's the perfect chance to reclaim his glory days. The night starts harmless enough. Silly pranks, goofy antics, even dumpster diving. But then comes the moment Nickelodeon later regretted: the infamous panty raid.
Guess you're gonna miss the panty raid.
The what?
I said, I guess you're gonna miss the panty raid.
Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob, and Patrick sneak into a woman's house to steal underwear. The joke? The underwear belongs to none other than Krabs' mother. This was supposed to be a punchline, but instead it left viewers unsettled. The proud, money-hungry businessman was reduced to a humiliated child, caught red-handed by his own mom. What was framed as comedy suddenly felt uncomfortable, even inappropriate for young audiences. Nickelodeon's reaction was swift. The episode, which had aired back in 2003, was quietly pulled from reruns years later. By 2018, it had disappeared from broadcast rotation altogether, sparking fan theories and online hunts for lost copies. But here's the deeper layer. Was it really just the panty raid? Or was it the darker theme beneath the surface? Fear of aging, denial, and the humiliation of refusing to grow up. Nickelodeon may have banned it, but fans still debate what Midlife Crustation was really trying to say. If Midlife Crustation was pulled for being awkward, Quarantine Crab was banned for something much heavier. It hit far too close to home. On the surface, the episode looks like another wacky day at the Krusty Krab. A health inspector shows up, warning of a possible outbreak of clam flu. Suddenly, what starts as a silly premise spirals into chaos. Mr. Krabs slams the doors shut. No one leaves. The restaurant transforms from a fast food joint into a prison. At first, the gags feel like classic SpongeBob. Characters sneezing, coughing, and panicking in exaggerated ways. But as the story unfolds, paranoia takes over. Mr. Krabs, desperate to protect his business, begins accusing his own customers and employees of being infected. Anyone who sneezes is isolated. Anyone who coughs is dragged away, locked inside the freezer. SpongeBob himself becomes a target, followed by Squidward, and eventually even Pearl. What made this episode especially unsettling is how closely it resembled real life. When the pandemic swept across the globe, fear, suspicion, and isolation became everyday realities. Watching characters turn on each other, friendships crumble, and suspicion replaced trust. It didn't feel funny anymore. It felt like a cartoon reflection of the anxieties the entire world was living through. Nickelodeon reacted quickly. The episode aired only briefly before being pulled from rotation, deemed too raw and too close to the collective trauma audiences were experiencing. Fans, however, never forgot it. To this day, Quarantined Crab is discussed not as a silly cartoon mishap, but as one of the darkest chapters in SpongeBob's history. But here's the kicker. If an innocent kid's show could accidentally echo something so serious, what else might SpongeBob be hiding beneath its laughter? When people think of SpongeBob, they picture bubble-blowing contests, jellyfishing trips, and slapstick gags. But the banned episodes reveal something far more complicated. Themes Nickelodeon never wanted kids to dwell on. Take Midlife Crustation. On the surface, it's just Mr. Krabs trying to feel young again. But peel it back, and the message cuts deeper. It's about denial. It's about the painful realization that time moves on whether we want it to or not. And when Krabs' desperate attempt ends in humiliation, caught by his own mother, it isn't just embarrassing. It's a raw reminder that clinging to the past can strip away your dignity. That's heavy stuff for a Saturday morning cartoon. Then there's Quarantined Crab. While it looked like slapstick chaos, it really echoed a darker truth. Paranoia. Characters turned on each other. Trust crumbled. Authority, in this case Mr. Krabs, used fear to control. Suddenly, a kid's show was mirroring human behavior under pressure in a way that felt uncomfortably real. And here's the twist. These themes weren't accidents. SpongeBob's writers often slipped mature undertones beneath the goofy exterior. They wrote stories adults could chuckle at while kids enjoyed the silliness. But sometimes those undertones crossed into territory Nickelodeon simply couldn't allow on air. By banning these episodes, the network wasn't just avoiding bad press. They were drawing a line, deciding that some truths, aging, paranoia, humiliation, were too raw for their brand of comedy. But that decision only fueled curiosity. Because once fans realized these episodes existed, they began asking, if these are the ones Nickelodeon hid, what else might be lurking unseen in SpongeBob's history? Here's the irony. By banning these episodes, Nickelodeon didn't erase them. They made them legendary. What should have been forgotten stories became the crown jewels of SpongeBob conspiracy culture. Clips of Midlife Crustation and Quarantined Crab started popping up online, ripped from old DVDs or early broadcasts. Fans debated their meaning in forums, traded recordings, and even uploaded full versions before takedowns. The more Nickelodeon tried to bury them, the more people wanted to see them. But here's where it gets deeper. Some fans believe these aren't the only episodes hidden away. Online theories swirl about lost scripts that never even aired, storyboards that hinted at darker themes, and episodes shelved before production finished. Whether those theories are true or not almost doesn't matter. The bands themselves created an aura of mystery that fuels endless speculation, and the cultural impact, massive. Midlife Crustation is still brought up whenever cartoons push boundaries. Quarantined Crab is often revisited as an eerie snapshot of pandemic-era anxieties. Together, they've reshaped how fans look at SpongeBob, not just as a goofy cartoon, but as a show capable of slipping into darker, more human territory. In the end, the banned episodes remind us of one thing. Cartoons may look innocent, but they carry more weight than we realize. And once you've seen this darker side of Bikini Bottom, it's hard to go back to thinking SpongeBob was just for kids. So there it is. The SpongeBob episodes Nickelodeon never wanted you to see. They weren't just pulled for laughs gone wrong, they exposed deeper fears, truths, and discomforts that hit closer to home than anyone expected. But here's the real question. Were these bans about protecting kids, or protecting Nickelodeon's image? If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden side of Bikini Bottom, make sure to subscribe, drop your thoughts in the comments, and let me know which banned episode shocked you the most. Because trust me, the world of cartoons still has plenty more secrets waiting to surface.